and I'm sure we all have used it at some point of our lives to describe someone's personality. You may have used it to describe someone who is sweet and understanding, or to describe someone who's been there for you through thick and thin. But how would you describe someone who's unempathetic? Would you say they're unfriendly, rude, or maybe even stone-hearted? In fact, deficits in empathy could be more devastating. In most extreme cases, it could also lead to harm. For example, the case of Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is an infamous serial killer who had zero empathy for any of his victims. But now the question that arises is, how does a person become unempathetic? And what are the factors that influence a person's empathy? Well, although empathy is a complex neurological and cognitive process, there are factors such as adverse childhood experiences and parenting styles that are assumed to play a role. Therefore, the aim of the study was to 1. Determine the influence of adverse childhood experiences and parenting styles on empathy. 2. To examine the mediating role of parenting styles on empathy influenced by adverse childhood experiences. This basically means to determine whether parenting style has an indirect effect on the relationship between adverse childhood experiences and empathy. Lastly, and thirdly, to determine the difference between ethnicities in the parenting styles used. To do so, a quantitative survey research method was used using a convenient sampling method to recruit participants using various social media platforms including WhatsApp, Facebook, Reddit, in addition to Survey Circle. A total of 143 young adults aged between 18 to 40 years were participated in this study, where they completed a close-ended questionnaire that pertained to their demographics, their exposure to adverse childhood experiences, and their empathy quotient, as well as their parental authority. Finally, a statistical package for the social sciences was used to analyze the data. Results revealed that emotional abuse was negatively correlated with the empathy quotient scores, or the EQ scores, of young adults, whereas parental separation was positively correlated with the EQ scores of the participants. What this means is that exposure to emotional abuse during childhood was correlated with a negative empathy score, whereas exposure to parental separation was correlated with higher empathy scores among young adults. So, secondly, the authoritarian parenting style was negatively correlated with the EQ scores. This is because, according to Cupins and Cullimans, authoritarian parenting leads to the least favorable development. Thirdly, mediation analysis revealed that none of the parenting styles significantly mediated the role between adverse childhood experiences and empathy. Lastly, a one-way MANOVA analysis revealed that there is a significant difference in parenting styles based on ethnicity. This is because, according to Masseron, parenting style is influenced by cultural norm. So, to wrap up, empathy is not just an emotion. It is a complex psychological state that is crucial in the diagnosis of mental disorders. According to Dissetti and Moriguchi, disruption in empathy development could lead to disorders such as antisocial, narcissistic, and borderline personality disorders. Therefore, the findings from this study is significant in inferring that the exposure to emotional abuse as well as authoritarian parenting could be a predictor of personality disorder.